Starting off here, we have this 20th century science fiction writer's book. It looked pretty cool just from the spine of the book. It looks like it's from 1991, but pretty dense textbook. Very interesting. Kind of thought about picking this one up. I don't remember the price, but pretty interesting find for the first like few minutes I was in this antique shop. Looking through these records, happen to find this looks like 90s Superman poster, kind of interesting. And then there's this DK motorcycle book. Trying to make it a point on my channel to pick up anything DK related or Marvel Ultimate. And this was a $10 book, so I ended up coming back for it at the end, but I left it there in that first part. Here we have a King Tut and Nefertiti statues, which are like hard plastic, kind of out of place. These phones I've always kind of wanted. I want to get a red one just because that whole like hanging up motion actually feels pretty satisfying, I feel like. But $20, this was a lot to ask. Here's one of 3 vendors that had comics just laid out like 4 or 5 boxes, so there's definitely a lot to go through. The Star Wars previews book stood out just from the density of it. These preview books are always kind of cool. It's just like a snapshot and what's coming up, what's happened kind of thing for comics. And getting the older ones is always pretty interesting. Spider-Man magazine, I had one of those when I was younger. There's some Nightfall issues in here, or Night Quest rather, from Batman. Then there's a little bit of like Batman Shaman comics or Legends of the Dark Knight, which is pretty cool. The McFarlane Spider-Man is something I'm actually trying to go after more and more lately, so I've found a few issues in here. I didn't get them because they're a little pricey, but it's always cool to see. This always gives me a good feel for what I got to look for here in the future. Here we got a Batman Jim Lee issue from the Hush line, which that was probably my favorite Batman comic ever. The art is just astounding. There's a volume 2 City of Owls in there as well from the New 52, which is, I feel like, a book that every comic fan probably has at this point. It's just, for some reason, there's so many copies of it out there. Interesting autograph deal in the back. Here's the second vendor that had more comics. It might just be the same guy spread across 3 booths, but wow, quite a lot to go through. "3D Man." Never heard of this one before till now. Silver Surfer is always good to see. Colossus. Thought about picking this one up. He's my favorite X-Men outside of Nightcrawler. Marvel Knights is always cool to see. I think I had the full run though, so I passed up on this one. Code of Honor. It's like a trade paperback almost. Daredevil's shot in the front there with a cop in the back. It's one of those comics that's like a special format, like soft cover, I suppose. It's not just like a paper cover. That was pretty interesting to see. I think it was like $10 or over, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pass on that this time. There's some Gambit solo series issues there, which is pretty neat to see. And some vintage Flash comics. Spawn's always pretty cool to see. Here goes a Marvel Previews issue. It's 99 cents or free. The guy was asking like $3, and I'm like, I'll pass. It's nothing special, really. Iron Man: The End seemed to be a more recent comic. Superman Gallery. That sounded interesting. Just kind of skimming through faster now because crouching down to look through all these is not easy on the back. Some more Night Quest. This one had a cool cover with Azrael in the front. Last Right Batman, that was a really cool cover as well. Classic 90s mullet Superman. I think it's 90s at least. Ghost Rider with a really interesting cover there. And Legends of NASCAR. Didn't know this was really a thing. Looking over at the shelf above, there's a bunch of comic price guides. This guy also had a Marvel Encyclopedia. It's like the hardcover one with the golden cover that you see on the screen here. But I think he was asking like 30 bucks or something. I didn't want to pay that much for it, especially in the condition it was in. Some retro D&D books, kind of interesting there. Not quite my thing, but I definitely appreciate seeing it out in the wild. Then there's two essential comics here, or like collections, Doctor Strange and Punisher, and I believe these were 20 each. Maybe that was a good price, but I don't care too much about either of the characters to actually go through with it. And this really caught my eye. There were some Transformers issues. Transformers Beast Wars was like the first comic that I remember getting, so I got my hopes up there, and I passed on all those issues, but it was really nice to see. There's a Ultimate Encyclopedia issue there for I think $5 that I picked up. Some Civil War stuff, which isn't too far in the past at this point. Pretty modern. Found this. It looks like McFarlane Spider-Man issue. Picked it up for sure. This is a little X-Men like toiletry bag. Kind of weird to see. It's weird. It's like a bunch of comics and then like nothing on the other side that kind of relates to it. He did have this giant Spider-Man like cutout poster, which is pretty cool. I didn't see a price on it though. There's some Funko Pops a little bit farther down. I saw the Deadmau5 one. That one's definitely like only 2 years old. It was cool to see. It was a 1989 Joker. Then there's this Venom Funko Pop. This was really cool, but I think I get to it here in a second. That's a cool cup. Not sure if it would wear off super easy, the print there, but it was nice to see. And then this was, I heavily considered picking this up. The metal sheen on the comic cover on the back, that's not like an actual comic, but it's just like a plate. Oh man, this was beautiful. This was like, I don't think I've actually seen like a cover look that good ever. I think that tops it, but $30, I'm good. Whole lot of pop culture Funko Pops there. Some more recent ones like I think the 80 years of Marvel Spider-Man. There's these bookends, which is really cool. If you like my bookshelf video, you'll see that I have a lot of gothic bookends, and that kind of screamed me there. I'm always looking through these records to look for Tom Waits albums. I've only ever found Tom Waits in the wild once, and it was like a newer print, so I don't know. I'm always just checking this stuff out to hope for the best. This had a really cool album art, Traffic, Shootout at the Fantasy Factory. Meant to look that one up on Spotify once I got home from this. And this was a $10 Superman the Movie album. This painting here was really quite something. Put my comics in there so that I can look at this Model 3 diecast. They wanted $25 for it, but it's literally just like a Hot Wheels diecast. It was really cool, actually. Like, I had to price check it while I was there because I'm like, Teslas are sick. You know, I'm one of those people that thinks they're really cool. Then it was my favorite color, and it was a good price. It was a fair price for sure. I just didn't take up on this offer here. Looking around at this one spot that had a bunch of like toys, but yeah, there wasn't really anything of value there. There's like a Sith Interceptor and this Spider-Man novel here. I love that cover. Like, anything that has that Spider-Man 1 poster cover, it's just so good. Mostly because of the PS2 game had the same cover, and that was my first console video game. looking around at this one, I caught out the corner of my eye. There's a bunch of Legos on the bottom. And it's not like Legos like Build-A-Block Legos, you know, it's actually Bionicles. You'll see here in a second, I crouch over and start looking through them. There's the Toas from, I think, 2nd gen Bionicle, and then spiders, the spinner rack and stuff. I think that was a Transformer there. Looks like a Camaro. Not sure what exactly it was, but in retrospect, I probably should have actually looked at it closer. I've been meaning to get some Transformers. This is I think 4th or 5th gen Bionicle there, the Toei Naika. That's the one that I got started on with back in 2006. And there's some Paraka. I think Raidak was in there, and maybe Vezok for anyone that's into Bionicle. But really cool to see these out in the wild. And they came with their manuals, like building instructions, which I thought was really cool. Like, usually that stuff gets kind of brushed aside or lost in translation and all that stuff, but nope, it was all there. It was all there and ready to go. And there's some of the spiders there. I forgot the name. I think like Vizorak, if I'm not mistaken. Saw this Mandalorian Funko Pop, which was pretty pricey, but maybe it was actually worth something. I'm not sure. This section always has some cool stuff. Up top, there's a Penguin Batman Returns like model that's been up there forever, but always cool to see. A lot going on in this, but I saw that there was a figure in the side. I can't remember quite what it was, to be honest, but it caught my eye. It must have been a comic figure of some kind. Looking at these cups, like, wow, these are really cool. The ones on the shelf there above the masks. And there's a bunch of weird heads on the side, like there's a Thor one, a pirate one. It's like, whoa, that's weird. Figure Fantasy, I've seen this book before at like other stores for used books, and it was just too high of a price still. It's kind of just like figure arts, I guess, with action figures and stuff. This was a really cool painting, or even image, whatever. I was thinking about picking it up, but I don't think I ever did. This is like the end of it here. I went to this this is the same place, but this vendor had a bunch of books, and one of them was like a NASA Vanguard book. I can't remember quite what the topic of it was, but it just caught my eye because NASA looked cool, and yeah, I didn't end up getting it. And the Smithsonian tour guide, this was really cool. Even though it wasn't a DK book, it still piqued my interest. It looked really good. That espionage book on the right there, I actually probably should have picked up now that I'm looking at this video. But yeah, there's a great comic book heroes book that was just coverless, but was opened up so you could barely see it. It's kind of out of place. This hand, for some reason, I love this like gesture. I think it's like, I don't know. There's an album I like where that's on the cover, and I thought that was really cool to see. Just a sign. That's you know, the hand, the pointer. Oh, hey, would you look at that? It's an animated Superman like bust or bank. I think it was a bust. It's expensive in glass and kind of worn out. It's interesting to see for sure. The animated series was a golden age. Bunch of retro game stuff up top of this shelf. There was some Silver Surfer action figures, Fantastic Four. I think there might have been a Spawn figure here in the end. Yeah, it was a Spawn figure. Had to press a piano up there, a little tiny play piano. It was louder than I thought, so I got kind of scared off. And this Hot Wheels die-cast 1989 Batmobile in both armored and unarmored form. That was really cool to see. And this one here looks like it was just a bunch of cars. I mean, oh yeah, this is the same spot. That's right. So this is the same spot, and there's this Tumbler Hot Wheels, which I actually thought about picking up because I'm trying to collect as many as I can for Hot Wheels miniature Batmobiles. Here we got a Atari with a bunch of games. It was in really good shape, but I think the asking price was too high. Some more figures here. I saw this Catwoman one, and I thought there might be more to it than just you know, the Catwoman one that's here. And right to my side, there was some Warner Brothers figures from like Looney Tunes, then some Swamp Thing figures. There was a lot of these for some reason, in like different colors and stuff. I don't know where these came from. I didn't even know these were a thing, but yeah. There's a whole lot more on this other wall here. There's a Gargoyles figures, more Fantastic Four. I think at the bottom there was a Mask of the Phantasm figure that I really wanted to get. Um, yeah, look at this. I mean, not sure if these things were expensive to start with, but always nice to see there's a tick in the back too. And at the bottom you can just barely see the yeah, Batman Mask of the Phantasm figure. Pretty cool. And then here's the absolute last stop. This is a bookshelf case kind of thing. Lots of books, lots of books for sure. And I ended up picking up a history book, which is like $2. That thing's usually like 20. It's a DK book. They got me 2 comics, Star Wars previews, motorcycle book, and this Art of Walt Disney book. So pretty decent haul, I'd say. Thanks for watching.